Hello everyone, my name is Balu, this is my sketchbook, and welcome to another episode of Creature Factory. Let's roll the intro. Yeah. So you say Creature Factory, huh? Well, I kind of was thinking about changing that name a little bit, mainly because I can make a lot of different creatures from different subjects, such as, I don't know, maybe taking a candle and making that into a creature. Oh, that's actually a good idea. Or taking then another inanimate object, or maybe taking some animal or bird and take... Basically, their possibilities are endless. But because I actually really love taking my friends and tossing them into a cauldron and then adding whatever they like, generally who or what they are, I think for this specific time when I am taking my friends and doing whatever I just said, I wanna have a different name. It's like a sub name for the whole Creature Factory. So I should have said welcome everyone to what I now will call From Friend to Fiend. Before we go too deep in the video and you will hear me rumble about how I failed this illustration, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Engage with algorithm as you can. All kind of support is appreciated, and I thank you for that specifically. Also, check the links down in the description below. Now that you understand what this video is gonna be about, and the fact that I had my food and I'm now full, let's begin the video proper. This is one of my friends. Let's call her, I don't know, Smaug. Let's call her Smirgle, you know? My precious. Before you all gonna go crazy and say in the comments that, oh my god, Baloo, that's not Smirgle, that's technically a golem at the moment. I know, but for some reason I keep calling him Smirgle, even though in the picture he's golem already, but live with it. Yeah, that's Smirgle. Why Smirgle? Well, mainly because she loves Lord of the Rings. And that was one of the key factors that I used for creating the piece that I made for today. But I must warn you, this video is about how I failed making an illustration. Another idea that I had was to have some kind of familiar or a pet in the illustration, because she has really adorable and fluffy black cat. As you will see in the end result, I do not have a familiar. Spoiler. And as it should be, after idea generation, we went to the sketch generation, the Gen S. That's a bad joke. Not many sketches were made for this illustration because I had a particular idea already ingrained in my head. Not the visual, but like the pose and idea. I wanted to make the Grim Reaper not the Grim Reaper, but someone who would be on a summoner side, like they are like summoning the creatures, or like the undead, the skulls, probably more, from their cloak. If you know Marvel's Cloak and Dagger, the cloak in particular, I had the idea of that in sorts. So it's like a floating cloak with the skeletal head, and it was able to summon the beings from the cloak itself, because the inside of the cloak is like a pocket dimension or something. So I went with that idea because I liked it. I also wanted to keep it really graphic shapes. I was looking at a lot of Dominic Mayer's art, and he does similar approach, at least on some of his paintings, the really angular and like graphic shapes more. And I like that, so I'll try to replicate it a little bit. 3 sketches into it, and I found the pose that I liked, and I started to refine it a little bit. Decided to drop the familiar idea. Then something interesting happened. So I sketched this sketch, and then I decided to, hey, you know what? Okay, I have the small area on top of it, so let's do another different version of the sketch. I was looking at that, and I saw, okay, a taller version, and there's another, but a smaller version. That looks kinda cool. Maybe it's not a familiar. Maybe we don't have a pet, but actually 2 sisters or like siblings, which felt so on point because she has a sister. I felt so amazing. I felt so proud of myself. So I kept with the sketch that I made. I refined it a little bit, scanned it. I did a digital version for the color composition because I wanted to see how which colors to use, where which color to put, and all of that. So I did that. and I printed the paper. I printed the line work, not paper, and I went to my drawing board to do it with traditional, of course. Here is where the tough part begins. Let's keep me on the side. Let's start the time lapse of the process, and I'll explain what I consider as a major fuck up. So I use watercolors, as you can see in this video and all the others, the other two. And as you know, watercolors are used with water. And if you combine paper and water, paper will do like something like that. It will warp a little bit. And that's why there are papers that are specifically made for watercolors, so they do not get destroyed while you are tinkering with it. Did I use watercolor paper on this or any other illustration that you've seen so far? No. Why? Because the watercolor papers that I have and I likely using are 300-gram watercolor papers. Damn, saying watercolor, see, it's hard. The watercolor papers are thick. Printer is not really able to use the paper, so I kept with using the thinner paper that I was capable of using for printing purposes, putting the line work on top of it, printing it out, and working on it. And so far, it was coming out well-ish. It was not perfect. I feel like colors would have come out much better on the watercolor paper if I used them for my previous illustrations, but we could not do that. So I kept with trying this paper. It's great for not water media, but at some point I realized that I am making this illustration in the worst way possible. Small tip: to not use non-watercolor papers for watercolor illustrations. It will be a really painful process. Try to avoid my mistakes somehow. After realizing that I'm messing up, did I stop and, as a smart person would, switch to a watercolor paper, and maybe before you are too deep into the illustration, because I was not too deep into the illustration when I realized I was fucking up. Did I start over? You already know it. No, I did not, because why would I? I'm not a smart person, obviously. So I kept pushing on this illustration and I was trying to do something. I had this idea of like having a really nice blue on the background, or as a fire, as like those like accent colors, and having this guy really like the flames of the red pop really well on the... I really had to complicate the whole composition for this illustration, didn't I? With like double contrast on all the. I won't say that I don't like the illustration. It came out not the way I wanted, especially not the way I did it in the digital, because the colors of the digital were much nicer. And the contrast and the values were much nicer. I don't know when did I screw it up so much so that there was no coming back to the save zone. The process of making the illustration was a little too tedious, and to be fair, I didn't really like it. I still went with it, and of course I still tried to finish it, but at what cost at the end? I was really feeling miserable. I tried to fix it with a little bit gouache. Didn't really help. I only now start to understand how gouache works a little bit, and the fact that I'm not really using a right gouache for the paintings, but I was really not feeling it. The previous illustrations went so well, the Soul Ring one, the Night one, but as a true stubborn person, I did not stop. I still went through it. I tried to fix as much as I could. And at the end of the final brush strokes, I decided, okay, let's keep it as it is. Let's try and finish as much as I can. I did that, and I went to digital. I scanned the piece and I tried to fix it somehow in the digital. One good thing though that I learned with this illustration was how to make the glow of the white with the gouache. I didn't know that. So I guess there's a good in the bad, and you take good with the bad. What I tried doing with digital was not really that complicated. I just took what I had and fixed the values as much as I could, darkened some of the parts, maybe make some of the forest lighter. I changed the colors a little bit, and in the end, the digital version came out like this. It's still not what I wanted, but it looked better than the original piece that I made. I would say I called this illustration a little failure, but that does not mean that I gave up on this idea. I wanted to make my friend into a being, and I had an idea in my head, so I still did it. That's why when I finished this illustration, on the very next day, I started again. I had some watercolor papers in my house that were smaller in size. They were A5, I think, but they were the type of watercolor papers that I like. So I did the really quick sketch on top of them, taped to the board, and I went in, did 2 of them on the separate papers, and it came out something like this, which, to be fair, I like much more than the one I did previously. It's a little different, it's not as complicated, but at least now I know I should not be using the paper that does not take watercolor really well and actually stick with the paper that I know will take the medium well. Yes, I won't be able to print the line work to make my life easier, but there are tools that I can use, and I think from now on I will be much smarter with what I choose as my base for a paper or the media itself. You might be wondering, if I redid the illustration, where is the process of it? But I didn't record it, but you can see that they're there, and you can see how much better they are. And also, I did a smart thing, kinda, is that I aligned them in a specific way. When you put them together, they kinda continue each other, so yeah. That's cool. I'm happy about that. What I want you to understand and take from this video is that if you mess up your illustration, especially traditionally, because digitally you can fix it really easily, don't be upset with yourself. Don't think that you are a failure. Just stop what you're doing, give yourself a rest, and start again on another day. So with that said, I want to thank you for listening to me ramble again, and for staying here and watching the whole video. I also want to mention that I'm really grateful for all the support that I'm getting with those. This is what, 4th video now that I got back, and I'm really feeling happy and energized and actually enjoying making those videos. So I will shortly continue doing those. I think that's it. So thank you again for watching. Don't forget to check the links in the description. Join the Patreon if you want to get some of the creatures for your TTRPG games. And I will see you all in the next video. Take care.